Bye, Gideon. Hi everyone, let's talk about Once Upon a Time Season 6, Episode 9, The Changelings. First, some quick thoughts. I cannot believe that Aladdin became the genie. It's like a twist upon a twist because he's the one who used the lamp and now he's in the... it's crazy. And it kind of makes you love him even more because... who does that? He's like, I will help you find Agrabah. He's a real savior, right? So last week I was worried that the evil queen would be killing Zelina, and turns out she actually was going to kill her. I didn't really think she would do it, but apparently Rumple is more important than family. Thankfully, Regina, even though she still blames Zelina for Robin's death, came and saved the day. And as she said, this is what heroes do. I'm still a little annoyed that Zelina didn't turn on the evil queen by herself. Moving on to Rumple. We just found out who his mom is. And she's a black fairy. I have to say, no wonder Rumple is so evil. He had a dad who turned out to be Peter Pan, who didn't really care about him. And then he has a mom who was a fairy who turned dark and gave him up for more power, apparently. I get it. It doesn't excuse what he's doing, but Jesus, talk about a tough life. Seriously. He even says in the episode that he thinks that he's a man that no one can love. And fundamentally, I think he knows that even his son wouldn't love him, even though he's still holding on to, maybe my son would love him because he has to. But you know what? As much as he's been so terrible these past few episodes, so abusive to Belle, at least he has a limit. Because at first I thought, oh crap, he really did give her that powder to accelerate her pregnancy, but he didn't. So, is there hope? I don't want to believe there's hope for him because this season has been really, really hard to root for him or even like him at all. So, I'm just kind of like, okay, well, that's just, thankfully, you still care enough for Belle up to a point that you won't cross that line. Still not enough, though. But it's progress. And since we know at the end that the evil queen is really the one that used the magic to make Belle give birth, and Rumple told her that he's playing the long game, I'm wondering how that's going to affect Regina. Because my theory, and I made a video about this on Happy Cool, if you want to check it out, I'll put the link in the description, it's that eventually Regina and the evil queen will merge back into one person. And so... if that happens, then Rumple's anger would then be transferred back onto Regina because she would then once again be part evil queen, part Regina. So that's pretty bad, right? Moving on to Belle, I enjoyed those dreams that she had with Morpheus so much. The following the strand was really cool, and her having a moment with her son, which I think is even more heartbreaking since we now know that she does give him up, which by the way was a really heartbreaking moment because she feels she has no other choice than to literally send her son away by himself, which sort of parallels Emma's story a little bit, where Snow White and Prince Charming felt they didn't really have any other options than to send their daughter out into the world. What is up with this? And Once Upon a Time, it's so sad. Kids never grow up with their parents. But I guess there's no drama if you don't do that. I wonder if we're going to have a similar type of story where the son, whom we now know is named Gideon, will come back as an older version of himself when we next see him. Or maybe we'll never see him again. I guess it all depends on how the whole Rumple-Belle situation plays out. Let's move on to Emma's vision. Now we got some more information about Emma's vision this episode. We found out that the sword that kills her has a red jewel that glows when it kills her. But before I talk more about the sword, I do want to talk about the fact that finally Emma told Hook about what she saw right away. She didn't hide it. She just was like, I had a vision. Let me tell you about it. What? I know it's crazy. Isn't that helpful? See how he can help you? Let's not keep secrets. And maybe it's just me, but I just realized that it reminded me a little bit of Harry Potter because I remember when I was reading the books or when you watch the movies, Harry Potter always tells Ron and Hermione everything that's happening to him or anything that he finds out, and they're always helping him to figure out things, so there are never any secrets between them. In this episode, I felt like that's what Emma was doing, where she got a vision, she told Hook, and he helped her, and I was like, this is how it should always be. It worked out for Harry Potter really well, Just saying. So now let's talk about that sword that they eventually find in Rumple's store. What does it mean? I don't know, but I have a theory or I have a thought. I made a video talking about who the hooded figure could potentially be on Happy Cool. I'll put the link in the description for that one as well if you haven't seen it yet. And my favorite theory is that Emma is fighting herself, which I've talked about in previous reviews as well. And I feel like this episode kind of leans toward that a little bit if you want to read a little too much into it, because Emma is the one who finds the sword and she's like, well, I gotta find out who is going to be using the sword. And I'm like, well, maybe it's you that's using the sword because you just found it. So, you're just fighting yourself. I'm just saying it could be, right? It could be. But I would love to hear what you guys think about that sword. Could it be a clue that it is really Emma who's fighting herself, or is it something else? Let me know in the comments. And also let me know what you thought about that big reveal about Rumple's mother. Next week is the winter finale of Once Upon a Time. Can you believe? It's already time to take a break, which is not cool. I feel like it barely started. But from the promo, it looks like they're doing a cool what if episode, which I actually really like those episodes. I know it doesn't move the story forward too much usually, but they're so much fun. So I kind of can't help to watch it.